Because making special, different, out of the ordinary cards is so much fun, and you like the secret lock card so much, in case you missed that I will link to that in the description box. So that got me thinking, so I cooked up another one for you, and the fun part is it's not hard at all, so let's just get to it. Today we are making a slide to hide card and I'm going to walk you through all the steps. First we're going to test our cardstock, and the cardstock in one way you will feel a bit resistance, and if you turn it, it's way easier. That is the direction of the fibers. So you cut your cardstock in half the other way, so it's easy to fold and score. Then make the first score line at 1 3/4, the second one at 4 3/4 and the third one at 8 3/4. So you have 3 score lines. And I have another strip the same size as the card by 2.5 inch and I score at 1 inch. All measurements are in the guide, in inches and centimeters, and the guide is in the treasure trunk and you can find the link in the description box below. Next I take the big card, I have the small strip and I'm going to measure it at 3/4 of an inch. I'm using the guillotine cutter, but you can use a ruler as well. After I made my marks, I'm going to cut them off on both sides. And then I'm going to fold and burnish all the score lines. I'm going to fold them in both directions, to the front and to the back. And I'm going to burnish them on both sides as well. And I also check if the card is straight, because this is the time that you can still make some corrections before burnishing. And for the smaller strip I use the ruler because that makes it so much easier to fold it around. Next I add glue on the 1 inch piece of the strip to the back of the cardstock. I have the cardstock on my desk pretty side up. I add the strip to the back of my card and I tightly fold it around. Then I turn my card over and I burnish with the bone folder so it's nicely in place. Then I have some strips of patterned paper and I'm going to cover my seam. You can also skip this step. I think this gives it a nice finish, so that's why I'm adding those little strips. And then I'm adding another one at one side just for decoration. Next I have a piece of patterned paper to fit on my flap, and this is the hardest one because it has those angles. So I'm just lining it up with the flap and then I cut off that corner and then I turn the card over. I slide the patterned paper a bit to the side so I have about 1 inch smaller in size, and then I use that angle to cut off the patterned paper. Lining it up with that flap makes it so much easier to get the right size, and there you go, a perfect fit. I have some more patterned paper to add to the other panels and I just cut them all 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card panels are. And then I'm going to glue them in place on those card panels. I also have the patterns alternate, so one with the gold star panel and the other one without. And that way you get some diversity. Next I'm going to add some tape to the straight flap on the inside, so the part that's not decorated. Then I take off the tape backing and I add the flap in place and I burnish with my bone folder again. And then I'm going to add one more piece of patterned paper on the big card panel. And this is the back of the card, so you don't have to do this, but I thought it would look nice. Next I'm going to decorate. I have some paper elements from the same paper line and I'm just going to layer those pieces. And you can keep it really simple or you can layer them like I'm doing here. You can also use some tape. This time I'm using just glue. I'm just making a fun cluster of flowers. Nicely layered, but still flat. And I'm going to finish with some hearts. Always cool heart on the card. And then a little star at the top. And then the slide to hide card is done. You can fold that flap with the cut off corners and slide it inside that pocket to hide it, making this a super cool and fun hidden card closing. And once you get going, there is no stopping, because here I have some more examples, all done in the same way with some different colors. And you can change with embellishments. You can add more layers or less. This is where you make the design your own. And using different colors will give you that different look. And here's another cool idea, because you can use it to wrap a gift card as well. Now don't let me keep you. More inspiration can be found here, or dive into the treasure trunk to grab your guide and get started right away. Either way, make sure to keep on crafting.